Teaching speech communication for as long as I have, I've realized that everybody has one little thing that they do when they give a speech to make sure that they feel comfortable. Some people have a very obvious tell. Some people, not so much. Sometimes it's sweaty palms. Sometimes it's swaying back and forth. And for others, it could be just doing something with your hands. Think about what your particular thing is. In this video, we're going to talk about ways you can manage your speech anxiety. We'll talk about ways to deliver your speech, things to think about when it comes to how you vocally and physically deliver your speech, and some practice aids. So first things first, let's talk about speech anxiety. Now commonly, when we think about speech anxiety, we think of having that fear of speaking before a large group or an audience. This is a very common fear. It tends to be a fear in about 25% of all Americans, as stated in the most recent research I saw in 2016. However, there are some people who have communication apprehension in other areas, not just when speaking in a large group. This anxiety is associated with real or even anticipated communication. Maybe it's the communication one-on-one with that big scary boss of yours. Or maybe it's the communication with someone that you have a crush on or romantic interest in. Those can cause communication apprehension as well. So be aware that speech anxiety is not just something people feel in a public speaking sense, but we all get a little bit nervous in other ways that we communicate. Maybe you feel some of the following symptoms: a quivering voice. Maybe you speak too soft. Maybe you find that you're monotone, or that you speak too fast, or that you sound non-emphatic. The easiest ways to manage speech anxiety when it's through your voice is to calmly breathe and pace yourself. If you feel yourself quivering, taking a deep breath before you give your speech is going to give a lot more oxygen into your body. It's going to slow down all that adrenaline pumping through your veins. If you speak too soft, and you've probably been told that you speak too soft in the past, speak louder than what feels normal. If you're monotone or non-emphatic, have fun. Add some variety to your voice. If you speak too fast, slow it down. It probably is just a sign that you're trying to get done with your speech. Now some of you may have issues with fluency. Maybe you stammer, or maybe you halt. Maybe you're the queen and king of awkward pauses, or maybe you hunt for words. If this is something that you do, keep in mind fluency is highly connected to level of preparation. If you feel prepared, you're less likely to stammer, to halt, to have those awkward pauses, or to hunt for words. One of my favorite past students had a stutter. He knew it, his entire class knew it. However, when he was very, very prepared, he could calm himself down, so there were less stutters during his speech. And trust me, everyone in his class was so in awe of him and the information that he gave us, and the passion that carried through in his speech. The stuttering was not even an issue. Maybe your symptom is that your mouth and throat have issues. Maybe you breathe too heavily, or you feel yourself clearing your throat with the or maybe you swallow repeatedly. Sometimes that could be connected to the nervousness. In the same way that your brain starts preparing for a long distance run and you start to breathe a little bit heavier, your body additionally in the speech feels like, I have to prepare myself for this long run. So again, calming yourself down. Now if you clear your throat, it could mean that you have an issue with your throat and it could just be dry. Make sure to have water or tea or something beforehand if this is a common issue with you. Facial expressions. Maybe you're the no eye contact person. Maybe you roll your eyes. Maybe you have that intense facial muscle that we can see your neck vein about to pop out. Maybe you smile a little too hard to where it looks really fake, a little scary even. Or maybe you have twitches. This is again going to be something that you can practice. If you're uncomfortable with eye contact, especially in a public speaking sense, make sure that you start working on eye contact in one-on-one situations. Give longer eye contact than what feels comfortable. Meet up with someone who you know has really great eye contact. Now don't stare anyone down or make them feel scared, but at least try to have eye contact to where they can tell, hey, you're really listening to me. If you know that you get really intense in your face, or your eyes roll, or you grimace, or you even have those twitches, again, taking a deep breath, letting some of that extra tension go will really help you. Or maybe your arms and your hands are rigid and tense. Maybe you wave your hands like you signal in airplanes. Find ways to naturally relax. That may mean looking towards your best friend in the audience, or even your instructor. Finding that kind face that can help you catch your breath and feel a little less awkward. If you realize that you're waving your hands, make your gesture smaller. Maybe you are a swayer or a pacer. Maybe you shuffle your feet or your weight shifts. The easiest way to combat those is to make sure that you stand in your own 2 feet. Even before you start speaking, make sure that you feel solid in both feet equally. If you feel a need to walk around, go for it. However, make sure that your movement has purpose. Move when it's convenient for the listener, not just because it calms you down. And then there are also maybe those non-visible symptoms. Feeling too warm, maybe a little too much saliva in your mouth, maybe there's dry mouth, maybe even there's butterflies in the stomach. Again, this is all connected to the fact that your adrenaline is pumping through your veins. Reaching your arms out wide to the sky and taking a deep breath before you give your speech are going to calm a lot of those non-visible symptoms. So keep in mind there are several ways to treat your speech anxiety. Systematic desensitization. So start off practicing in a non-threatening environment. Maybe your mirror, or maybe with your puppy. These aren't threatening. You can work your way up to a small group of friends, small group of your classmates, and then the actual speech day. By slowly working your way up something that may be a little bit more threatening next time, you'll desensitize yourself to where the actual speech event is not as intimidating. There's also cognitive restructuring. This, simply put, is thinking positively. Don't imagine all the negative things that could go wrong. Start thinking about all the positive things. Tell yourself, I'm going to do well. Visualize yourself succeeding, people clapping for you, giving an impassioned speech where everyone is not only well informed, but well impressed. And remember to also engage in skills training, which is what you're doing right now, learning ways to make your speech even better. So we're going to take a pause there and come back for part 2 to find out those ways to deliver your speech vocally and physically, and the ways to practice.